Welcome back to the Scoring from the 50 podcast. How's everyone doing today? We are back after about a year-long hiatus, a second year-long hiatus. I know. Hey, I've been working on it, okay? I've been trying to fix my schedule. I got a little busy again last fall, but this year, I don't got band. Well, I got a little bit of band, but not as much band. I can watch a lot more of the games. I don't know about Saturdays. I am kind of going to be a little bit busy. I can watch most of the games now because I'm not going to be out at band competitions no more. It's going to be really nice, okay? So today, I have my top 10 teams right here behind this blank piece of paper. My top 10 teams heading into this weekend as week 1 starts. First off, we got Texas and Ohio State. 11 a.m. YouTube TV got a short-term deal with Fox at least, so we'll be able to watch that. Be able to watch Baylor and Auburn on Friday night. We got Boise State, Southern Florida tonight on Thursday night. As I upload this, I'm recording it on Friday night. I should be uploading it tomorrow. Hopefully. It's been a little finicky. This is my second time recording this because my microphone stopped working. I don't know why, but it should be on. It should be on. We should be good. But yeah, today I have my top 10 teams. Hopefully I'll be able to really get into a rhythm. If you can't see it, but on that whiteboard up there, I got a better plan. I got a better attacking plan going into this. I think I'm going to do a much better job of balancing my school life, my personal life, with also trying to get this into fitting in as well. I love doing this. I start talking to the camera and I'm like instantly, let's get this going, man. We got week 1 this weekend. Come on. We got a full season ahead of us. Hopefully, Scoring from the 50 podcast will be here all season long, all off season long. We should be good to go. I just got to stay committed to it. We got Coca-Cola. It's cherry Coke, by the way, the best kind of Coca-Cola. We got a camera now. We got a laptop. Shout out to my dad. He bought me a really, really nice laptop for college, and I'm going to be able to use it not only for college, but also for the Scoring from the 50 podcast. Using that as my camera. Got the same microphone I was using last year. I can actually move this out of the way. You guys don't really need to see that. It's more of how to get the microphone working because it wasn't working a second ago. But we got to figure it out. We're here. Episode, I think, 11 or 12. I'm not sure how many these I've done, but first of 2025. Hopefully back so we can really start getting going on the Scoring from the 50. We can start growing this podcast a little bit more. But we should be a better product overall. We got video now. Going to be able to look better on YouTube. Going to be able to hopefully sound better on the Apple Podcasts. Maybe I'll try to get on Spotify. Should be able to upload some shorter videos, kind of cut this up into videos and then produce them as well. We'll see. I'm really hoping that's what I'm able to do. Anyways, let's get to the meat of this episode. My top 10 teams right here. To start, I want to give out a couple honorable mentions. I have 2 teams. They play in week 2 that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they are this year. Obviously, you see my phone, which I definitely need to get out of the camera shot because that's a little bit weird. So we're going to put that right there. I love my Michigan Wolverines this year. I got to be honest. I really like the defense. The defense is coming back from that Alabama upset last year in the bowl game. Did not expect that win at all because Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, they were both out of that game. Will Johnson didn't play last year at all. Colson Loveland was not in that game. He didn't play in the Ohio State game anyways. I think that defense coming back could be one of the best in the country this year. They got Wink Martindale as their second year under Wink Martindale. They're all kind of on the same page now. You know what I mean? I think last year there was a little bit of this iffiness, like they didn't exactly know what was going on. I think that also applies to the offense. I mean, you can't have a worse offense than what we had last year. We didn't have, yes, I'm saying we didn't have a passing play over 40 yards last year. I'm pretty sure the only 2 other teams to do that, if they didn't do that, was Army and Navy. The only 2 passing attacks worse than Michigan last year was Army and Navy. I don't think you can get much worse than that. I mean, I know a lot of people have us around the 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 range. I think a lot of teams that you'll hear that me talk about on here are also kind of the same. I mean, I don't understand. I don't see how we can't get 2 wins better than 7-5 last year because we were that bad on offense. We should be okay. I think this is a good segue to my second honorable mention, which is Oklahoma. I really like what they're doing down in Norman, okay? They got John Mateer at their quarterback. They got Brent Venables in a must-win year. He has to be able to get it to click this year. If he doesn't, he's going to be gone at his dream job, his alma mater. He has to be able to produce this year. And I think that Michigan game, that's going to be the key for not so much for Michigan, because I think Michigan will scale towards the end of the year, and I think they're going to be a really scary team around the time that they play Ohio State, because I mean they got Northwestern, Purdue, they got some really bad teams leading up to that Ohio State game, so it's a good little runway to get to where they need to be by that last game. For Oklahoma, though, I think if you lose that game, I don't see how you can have confidence going in to the arguably the hardest schedule in the SEC. If you can't beat the at least the fourth best, you can't even get higher than the fourth best. It's probably maybe even lower than the fourth best Big Ten team. How are you going to be able to have a good season in the SEC? You're not going to be able to. If you can't win that game against a true freshman at home with Brent Venables' defense, like, he is known for his defenses. If he can't shut down a true freshman quarterback with the weapons that we don't have, Oklahoma's going to struggle a lot this year if they can't win that game. But I think they will win that game. They shouldn't have anything to worry about. That should be a good jumping off point for the Sooners going into SEC play. I think they should be fine. But those are my two honorable mentions. To get into my top 10, I think they're both going to have good seasons. To compete for a playoff spot, we'll see. My number 10 team is South Carolina. Kind of a little iffy on this, okay? I'm not 100% confident in this, but hear me out, okay? They got three of the best players in the country. They got Lenora Sellers, they got Nick Harbor, and they got Dylan Stewart. Those three are going to single-handedly win the Gamecocks some games, okay? This is how I envision a lot of their games going, okay? Stay with me for a second. 4 minutes left. South Carolina gets the ball down 3. They're driving, make a decent play, get 15 yards. Start at the 25, get 15 yards. They're at the 40. Get another 8 yards. Then, they left Nick Harbor one-on-one. Chuck it up there. He's going to come down with it one-on-one. That's a touchdown. That's 30 yards, 40 yards to get into field goal range. That's how they're... Then another big play. Just throw a little fade to him. Boom. You're up by 4. Okay? So now, say they're playing... I don't know. Who do they play this year? I think they play LSU. I'm pretty sure. LSU gets the ball. Minute 30 left. They're driving. They get to about... They have to score a touchdown. They're down by 4. They have to score a touchdown. They get to the 30-yard line. About 30 to 20 seconds left or so. Trying to drive. No timeouts left. Dylan Stewart takes over that game, gets a big game-winning sack to win the game for the Gamecocks. I keep calling them Gamecocks. I mean to say Gamecocks. I'm just talking fast. The Gamecocks. They are going to win a lot of games like that. I think Shane Beamer has the buy-in. I think you saw that. We'll talk about any given Saturday later whenever we talk about LSU as well, because LSU is on here. I think Shane Beamer has that locker room where he wants them. I think they're going to be really, really good this year. I think they could very easily compete for a playoff spot. It's a matter of, do they have the depth beneath those 3 guys to be really, really good? I'm not so sure about that, but I know that those 3 guys can take over any game that they will want. I think they can beat any team on this list, but I don't know if they can consistently do it with the depth that they have. And if they have an injury, it's going to be rough sailing for the Gamecocks, but they should be all right. They should be competing for a playoff. I see them at a 9-3 about. Kind of like that iffy in between getting into the playoff or not. We'll see. I'm really excited about what Shane Beamer's building there in Columbia, South Carolina. Moving on to my number 9 team. So I will preface this by saying my top 8 are about the teams that I could see really winning a national championship this year. So I think South Carolina and my number 9 team, which is the Florida Gators, I think that they're going to be really good. Obviously, they're in my top 10 in the country, but I don't see a way that they go and win a national championship. I don't see a way that they beat consistently a Penn State, a Texas, and Alabama. I don't see them winning those kinds of games, but I can see them reaching up and biting one of them in the regular season. I mean, they got 7 ranked games. They got 7 ranked games. 4 of them are against top 10 teams. They got Miami, Georgia, LSU, and Texas. All of them in the same schedule. That's going to be insanely difficult, but I think they'll beat one of them. I'm fairly certain they'll beat Miami, right? The other 3, not so sure. They're above them. We'll talk about them later. I think Florida will beat Miami at least. I think they'll beat another one. They'll beat one of those 3 teams that are ranked above them right now in my rankings. All of those are ranked above them in the AP and the Coaches Bowl. But in my rankings, I think that they will beat one of those teams that are higher than them. I just don't. Again, same with South Carolina. I don't see the depth. I think it's getting there. It's better than it was last year. Like, say DJ Lagway. He's been incredibly banged up for the past 365 days. Got hurt last year, was in and out of the starting lineup. Got hurt. He was hurt all spring because of that. And then, he's doing good in fall. And then he hurts his ankle again. He's in a boot during one of the scrimmages. He has to be able. That is their key to having a really good season this year. If he can't stay healthy, then they're not going to have a good season. That's just as plain as that. Dallas Wilson, doesn't matter how good he is. You have to have a quarterback to throw him to him. Which, by the way, Dallas Wilson, I do really, really like this year. We'll see. They are 23rd in returning production this year. They're returning 13 starters between offense and defense. I think, that's a lot. Compared to the newer teams, they're higher than... I think they might be the highest on this list. No, Clemson's the highest. I think Clemson and then Penn State's a little below them, but they are the highest in returning production on this list that I have, and that is worth something. I mean, that experience is going to win them. I think LSU is also a little bit higher than them, or maybe a little bit lower, but LSU is kind of the same, and where that experience of people coming back is going to pay dividends in late game situations where you have to have guys that have to have been there in those situations before. Which is a great segue to my number 8 team, which is the LSU Tigers. I think LSU brings back so much this year. They got Garrett Nussmeier. They got, again, like I said earlier, they got Any Given Saturday Star Weeks. You got to meet him. You got to get really good insight into his family and everything. Really cool. Couldn't recommend that documentary enough. Go watch it. It's on Netflix. Really, really good watch. I like the Tigers this year. I think a lot of people do. They're 31st in returning production. Florida was 23rd. They're 31st. 4 teams that are higher than this LSU team on my list. I've told you, I've given you a pretty good preview of who. I don't want to tell you what the order they are. We'll get there. They're 30 spots better than 4 of the, 7 teams ahead of them. They have a lot of returning production compared to a lot of people on this list. I think they're going to be really good. I really like Caden Durham, their running back. I think he's going to be he's going to be a stud. I question A, Brian Kelly, and B, this schedule. It's kind of similar to Florida's, in which they have 7 ranked teams just like Florida. Only 3 of those ranked teams are at home. 4 of the ranked teams are away from Death Valley. They have to go to the other Death Valley in week 1, and Lord knows that Brian Kelly has really struggled with winning that week 1 game the past, I think, 3 years that he's been at LSU. Lost to Florida State, they lost to USC last year. I couldn't think of it, but I remember that game. I don't see a way that they go into Clemson to win that game. They have to go in to Death Valley in Clemson. Then they also have to go into Bryant-Denny Stadium late in the year, and I'm picking against them in both of those games right now. I don't see a way that they go into those stadiums and win against those teams with the talent that they have. I just don't see a way that they don't also get another loss. I think those two right now, I have just penciled in as losses. Prove me wrong. But I think there's another landmine somewhere on that schedule. Again, with the 7 ranked teams, I just don't see a way that they are that good. They have to be that good every single week in, week out. I don't see a way that they do that. So I think that they're around 9-3 this year, which kind of iffy on if that gets you into the playoffs. I mean, if you look at the Big Ten, there's a few, like the Illinois of the world. They're not on my list, but they got a really easy schedule. A lot of players coming back from last year's team who won 10 games. That's a team that could go 10-2 or 11-1 and get in over an LSU who went 9-3. Even though LSU would kill Illinois, they could get in over an LSU or Florida or South Carolina just because they have more wins, they have a better record, they're in a top 2 league, even though they didn't have the same schedule. We'll see. I don't know if 9-3 will get them in. I think that's what they're going to do. I like Garrett Nussmeier. He's going to be really, really good. He's a borderline first-round talent, which, again, if you look at my list here, I mean, they have a returning quarterback. LSU does. And then new quarterback, and then here, let's look at my other page. I got 3 pages here. Hang on, let me flip the page. Then you got new quarterback, returning quarterback, new quarterback, returning quarterback. So that should give you a little bit of preference of who my first and third teams are because, there's not very many returning quarterbacks this year. That's my point. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be that big of a deal just because he's a returning quarterback and a returning proven good quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier is a borderline first-round talent, like I just said. He is going to be very, very good. Now, someone who I think could be a first-round talent next year, not quite sure, I'm pretty sure he's draft eligible this year, is Dante Moore up in Eugene, Oregon. Number 7 team in my top 10 teams is the Oregon Ducks. I think that they're going to be good this year. I don't think they'll be as good as last year. They lost a ton. They lost so many players last year. They have 2 returning starters on offense. Evan Stewart, who's hurt. So their only returning player on offense is their center. That does not sound good at all. Granted, I really, really, really like Jeremiah McClellan, and I really like DeCorian Moore at wide receiver. I think they're going to be arguably better, maybe, than last year at wide receiver. But if you would have added Evan Stewart into those 2, that could have been one of the best wide receivers. That could rival an Ohio State to be that good. I just don't see a way that their D-line is anywhere close to as good as it was. They lost so much. They only have 3 returning starters on defense. They have Mateo Uyunglele, who's going to be really good off the edge. Watch out for him. And then they have a few other dudes on defense that just aren't going to be difference makers. They're going to be good. They're going to be solid. I just don't think they're the type of players that can go into a Happy Valley and win a whiteout game. I don't think they're a team that can go beat an Ohio State. I think they could. They could, but I don't think they will. We'll see. I've said we'll see about all of these teams. We will see because we have football this weekend in 2 days. Well, we got football tonight in Boise State in Southern Florida. We're all going to be watching that. We got Baylor and Auburn on Friday night on Fox. We're going to be able to watch it on YouTube TV. They got that deal done. Man, I cannot wait. I got to focus here. We got to get through this. Then next week, we can review some of those games. We'll get there. Just got to be patient. Be patient. We're almost there. But Oregon, I think they're going to be really good. They're going to be good on offense. They are returning their center. That's their one good player. Their one returning starter. I just don't see the same talent this year than I did last year. I think Dan Lanning's one of the best coaches in the country. He's from KC. He coached. He played. I don't know if he played, but he went to William Jewell, which is, I'm kind of associated with that school right now. I'm in a band there. I go to a different school, but I'm in a band at William Jewell. Same college as Dan Lanning. The Dan Lanning. We'll see. I love Dan Lanning. KC guy, just like me. I just don't believe in that D-line, and I don't believe in that secondary to be good enough to win them games this year. I think they'll be good. Don't think they'll be great. They'll be in the playoff. They'll be at least fighting for a playoff spot. They should be in the playoff. I just don't see a world in which they're as good as they were last year. I think next year, maybe a Dante Moore is like decent this year and he comes back for another year, then they'll be really good. I think next year's going to be the year for Oregon. They're just not quite there yet. Speaking of a team who I really don't know if they're quite there yet this year, they've been there in the past. The Georgia Bulldogs are my number 6 team in the country. I like them a lot. I love what they did at wide receiver, okay? My Georgia plug, which is just my friend who's a Georgia fan, his favorite player is Zachariah Branch going into the season. Hasn't even played a down for the Bulldogs yet. His favorite player is Zachariah Branch. He is an absolute stud from USC, okay? Anytime that he got the ball, whenever he was at USC, you kind of like, oh, you kind of perked up. Like, oh, okay. Oh, he's going to break it. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, he broke it. Kind of something like that, you know what I mean? Like, he's going to be really good. Explosive as any player in the country. Gunnar Stockton. How good is he? You saw him come back against Texas, but then he struggled against Notre Dame. I question how good he is. I know the team will rally around him. You saw that in the SEC championship game. But is he to the point that he can single-handedly win a game? Stetson Bennett wasn't the best quarterback of all time. I think we all know that. But he could take over a game with his legs if he needed to. Carson Beck wasn't really ever able to do that. I really like what they have on defense. They got Christian Miller coming back. He was the top-rated Bulldog on PFF. They got Elo Madozie. I think that's how you say that name. Elo Madozie from Army. I mean, he had like 7.5 sacks around there at Army last year. I think he should be able to transfer, maybe, into the SEC, still be pretty productive. I like the defense a lot. I like the receiver room. I'm iffy on the quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. We'll see. But the offensive line, that's where I have my questions. They were not up to Georgia standards last year. They could not run the ball. They were not good enough for that last year. They needed to be better. And what I found interesting was that Kirby Smart could have attacked the portal for offensive line, but he didn't. Not as much as he could have, at least. So that leads me to believe either A, Georgia doesn't have enough money, which that can't be the case. So B, what I think is way more likely, they just like what they have in that O-line room, don't you think? Why would you not go get players unless you like what you have in your O-line room? So I think they should be okay. They got Ernest Green and Monroe Feeling coming back on the offensive line. I think they're going to be decent. If the O-line is good, Georgia will probably be the best team in the country. They are so loaded everywhere else that they should be able to be the best team in the country if they can have the O-line. I just am not quite sure if they're there yet. Nate Frazier, did anyone watch him? I think it was the Clemson game last year. True freshman came in. I think someone got hurt. They were really banged up going into the season at running back last year. I remember talking about that on my podcast that I did a year ago. Hopefully this isn't the only podcast that I do this season. It shouldn't be. We will see. I really hope it's not. Nate Frazier was good in that game against Clemson. I was texting with that Georgia friend that I have. He was impressed. Like, he was like, oh my God, this Nate Frazier kid, he's going to be really good. I like Nate Frazier. I think he's going to be a difference maker. I just think he has to be able to have the room to run through that offensive line. They have to be able to do that for him. Also, like Josh McCray, the second string running back, he's going to be really good as well. I'm just curious how good that offensive line is. If the offensive line is good, they could win the national championship easily. But we'll see. I'm not 100% sure on them. I think I have them around like a 10-2, maybe a 9-3. Probably not. I think I'm more leaning towards a 10-2, 11-1, somewhere around that range. They're going to be good. They're going to be really good. I cannot wait to watch Bulldogs this year. Now, my fifth team is a team that the closer we get to the season, and I think a lot of people agree with me on this, the closer we get to the season, the more I like the Alabama Crimson Tide. They got a ton back on defense. See, I got some names written down here. You got Deontay Lawson, John Marion Latham, and Qua Russah. Domani Jackson and Keon Sabb are also back in the secondary. That defense is loaded. I think one of the key things that you have to be able to be good at as a head coach to mean that your team is going to be really good is have the opposite of what you're known for be the better part of your team. Kalen DeBoer is known as an offensive guy. He had Michael Penix at quarterback a few years ago at Washington, took them to a national championship game. But this year, going into it, I mean, you have Ryan Williams, who's 18. He's 18. We no longer have to hear that he's a 17-year-old. They have Ryan Williams. They got Ty Simpson, who sat behind and waited his turn for about 3 or 4 years now. I think 2 or 3 maybe. He's got there in 2022. He could be really good. We will see. We will see. So the offense is going to be solid. But that defense, those names that I just listed, Deontay Lawson, Jamarian Latham, Kwaru Saw, Damani Jackson, Keon Sapp. I watched Keon Sapp. See that Aiden Hutchinson guy right there? I can't get a good point at him. Right there. Boom. I watched him. I watched Keon Sapp play. He is good. I was so excited for him to come back last year. I was like, oh man, I'm not even worried about safety. We got Keon Sapp come back, and then he left. He's one of like 2 or 3 players that left whenever Jim Harbaugh did. That really hurt. It did. He's going to be a stud in that secondary for Alabama. Kalen DeBoer, I cannot wait to watch him. I am very excited to watch this Alabama Crimson Tide. And don't forget about J.M. Miller as well. I just read that name as well on here. J.M. Miller, one of the best running backs in the country. He's going to be really, really good this year for the Crimson Tide. I cannot wait to watch them. They're one of my favorite teams. This top 5, I have my national championship pick as my number 1 team. But these top 5 teams are the teams to beat. Now, the team that everyone's looking to beat, the team that everyone's chasing after last year, the Ohio State Buckeyes are coming in at number 4. I know a lot of people are going to have Ohio State higher than me. I'm going to be an Ohio State doubter. I always will be. I'm not going to run from that. I'm a big, big, big Michigan guy. I'm not going to try and hide that. But Ohio State is really, really good again this year, okay? They have the same receiver core as they did last year. They got Jeremiah Smith, who is a freak of nature. There's no way he's from this planet. He is that good. You have Carnell Tate as your second string. He would be the star wide receiver at 95% of other schools. Only schools that maybe he's not is Alabama, maybe Texas under Ryan Wingo, but I think he's better than Ryan Wingo. I think the only other place that he's not the number 1 receiver is Alabama. That's it. He's that good. I love what Ohio State is doing. Okay, I like Julian Sayin. I don't love him. I think his floor is kind of around a Kyle McCord type season with a few more picks. So a Kyle McCord season, just a little bit worse turning the ball over. That's his floor. I think he's going to be a lot better than that. One of the quickest releases I've ever seen out of any high school kid. He's going to be a stud. Former 5-star. He's going to be the difference maker. The only question I have is does he feel like he has to force the ball to Jeremiah Smith? You have Carnell Tate. You have Max Clare, the tight end from Purdue, one of the few bright spots, which I actually forgot to mention. Here, let me go back to Oregon, because this reminded me of Oregon. They have a safety named Dylan Theinman from Purdue. I did not know this guy's name. He's going to be a stud in the secondary. They're talking about him like one of the best safeties in the country. And I think that's going to really, really help Oregon. I don't think the corners are very good, but he's going to be really good. Watch out for Dylan Theinman at Oregon. Sorry, that was a bit off topic. Back to Ohio State. They got Max Clare to dump the ball off of too. Like, if Julian Sayin's going through his reads, right? He's looking downfield. He's got, Jeremiah Smith's double covered. Carnell Tate didn't win his rep. There's Max Clare wide open because everyone else is focused on all of them. Texas, in week 1, they did a really good job of slowing down Jeremiah Smith in the playoff game last year. If you remember how that playoff game went, Jeremiah Smith did not have a very good game. But the running backs showed up in a big way against Texas. You had Quinshon Judkins and Travion Henderson making plays left and right. They were beautiful. That's why I have Ohio State so low. Now, again, number 4 is not low, but compared to what a lot of people have, they lost it a lot on defense. It's especially the defensive line. I mean, they got Sonny Styles, they got Caleb Downs, they got Igbinosun as a secondary. They're going to be really good. I just don't see them being as good as they were last year on defense. That D-line, JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, Jack 0-4 here in this house, by the way. They were such studs that I'm not sure how you can replace those guys. You can't. You can replace them in the aggregate. We'll talk a lot about that with my number one team, replacing stars, right? But along with that, it's not just one position group. Running back. Who are they gonna turn to at running back? O-line. They lost a lot. They lost Seth McLaughlin. They lost their right tackle. How are they going to be able to run the ball as well as they were last year? I'm very curious. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just not sure they'll be able to run the ball as good as they did last year. We'll see on that. I could be completely wrong. Lord knows they have just loaded up on 5 stars and 5 stars. But again, I'm using my Michigan fan expertise here. If you remember 2024, if you remember back to 2024, the recruitment of Jordan Marshall came down to Michigan and Ohio State. Jordan Marshall was the number 1 player running back in Ohio State, in the state of Ohio. I think Ohio State was banking on winning that. If you watch Jordan Marshall in the bowl game against Alabama, he was the player of the game. He was insane. I think this was supposed to be his spot. But now he's up north. So I'm curious to see how good they are running the ball. And I'm curious to see how good the offensive line is. I'm curious to see how good the defensive line is. Everywhere else is going to be great. That's why they're my number 4 team in the country. I'm just curious how that goes. They have to play Penn State this year. They have to play Texas week 1. And then obviously they have to play Michigan at the end of the season. I'm not sure how... I want to talk about this Texas game a little bit. I want to talk about how I see this going. I think we're going to talk about it a little more whenever we get to Texas. We can save it a little bit. But there's so many ranges of possibilities. Ohio State could win in a blowout. Texas could win in a blowout. One of the teams could win close. Go into 5 overtimes. I just don't know. There's a lot to like about this matchup in week 1 in Columbus, but we'll see. We'll talk about it whenever we get to Texas. My number 3 team also has a huge game against someone else on this list, the Clemson Tigers. Do you remember a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, we were sitting there watching them get blown out by Louisville? It was last year. They got blown out by Louisville. And we're just thinking, this is not Clemson. Clemson will never get back to where they used to be. But here they are, back at number 3 in my preseason rankings. They got Cade Klubnik back. They are they're top 5 in returning production. They're going to be really, really good. Cade Klubnik still hasn't quite hit that 5-star status yet. That 5-star that he's lived up to. We'll talk about that as well with my number 1 team. But I think he finally has the weapons to do it. He has Bryant Westco, Antonio Williams, and TJ Moore all at receiver. I think they're going to be able to elevate Cade Klubnik to that 5-star hype that he had coming out of high school. I think they're going to be able to build around Cade Klubnik and set a good foundation for him. I also really, really like their defense. They're returning both of their cornerback starters. They're returning Sammy Brown, a former 5-star linebacker. This is Dabo's best team since his championship days. Can he get them back to that mountaintop? Does he still have it? Does he still have that it factor to galvanize that team and take them to a national championship? We'll see. I have them in my semifinals. I have them winning the ACC with a relative ease. They should be all right. They should be a top 4 seed going in the playoff. To me, I think they should be undefeated at least only 1 loss. I like Clemson a lot. I think they're going to be really good this year. They're bringing back so much. Top 5 team in returning production. Look out for the Tigers. They're back. They're back. Who else is back? Texas is back, baby. They were back in the semifinals for the 2nd year in a row. They are going to build off of this in a great way this year. It starts at quarterback, right? Obviously, there's a Manning playing quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. He should be really, really good this year. The hype around him is insane. He has Ryan Wingo to throw to. He is loaded on offense. He is the best quarterback talent to come through there since Vince Young. Maybe Quinn Ewers, but Quinn Ewers had already transferred. I think his potential was just a little bit down from what it was coming out of high school. But, man, how can you not like Arch Manning? I can tell you how. The only way I see this season not going the way we think it is I envision what I call the Manning fog around him, or maybe a prism. Like a prism that you have to look through, right? It's called the Manning prism. And you look, maybe these reporters that are saying so many good things about how he's doing in camp, they're looking through this prism, right? And they look through it, and then the Manning is all the way up here. You see the Manning name, look through the Manning name, and you see, oh, he's a Manning. So it just gives him a little bit of a boost. But then, you look there, and you take it off, and you see that he's actually right here instead of up here in terms of talent, in terms of how he's throwing the ball, in terms of how he's leading the team. We have all heard great things from along all these lines through camp, so I have no reason to doubt him other than just he's a Manning. He could get a little bit more hype than he is getting a lot more hype than any other normal player that is his actual talent. So we'll see on that. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but it starts with him, goes to Ryan Wingo as a receiver, but this defense, it's just like I talked about Kalen DeBoer. Sarkisian's an offensive guy, but this defense is going to be excellent, okay? You got Anthony Hill Jr. coming back. You got Colin Simmons on the edge. Those two are absolute studs. Trey Moore at linebacker. Those two linebackers, Anthony Hill Jr. and Trey Moore, are absolute studs. They do nothing but tackle. They don't miss tackles. That's all they do. Colin Simmons, former 5-star, they moved Trey Moore from edge to linebacker so that Colin Simmons could get more reps at edge. That's how good he is. They were so good, you have to get them both on the field somehow. That's how they feel at Texas. That's how good they are. I question the secondary a little bit. That's only an iffy thing, but everyone on this list has questions. The gap between teams is like this. Usually, it'd be like this. There'd be two teams up here, and they kind of get lower. But this year, everyone's just bunched right here. And Texas could really capitalize on a down year for everybody else. I love what this defense brings to the table. I love Texas. I have them in my national championship game against my number one team. I have them winning the SEC. They're my pick. I believe in Texas. And the team that I believe the most in, that I absolutely love talking about, and I absolutely love telling people that are just now coming back to college football, hey man, Penn State. They're my favorite to win the national championship. Penn State. Nittany Lions from Happy Valley are my favorite to win the national championship this year, okay? They got Drew Aller coming back. They got studs along the defense. I question, like I talked about earlier in replacing stars, Abdul Carter and Tyler Warren. How do you replace those guys? You replace them in the aggregate, okay? You replace them in the aggregate. The wide receiver room is obviously the big question for Penn State. They were horrible last year. Their wide receiver room did not have a reception against Notre Dame. That's a stat that gets talked about a lot. It doesn't get talked about enough. How does that happen? That is completely unacceptable for a team that is as good as Penn State. But they went and got Trevor Pena. They went and got Kyron Hudson. Both of those dudes are really good. They complement each other really well. They got the big body in Kyron Hudson and the smaller body in Trevor Pena. They're going to be really good. Those two are going to be really good. Hopefully they can catch a ball in the semifinals of the playoffs. I think they might be able to do it. Not sure, but they should be able to do it. Anyways, I love this Penn State team. I think they're going to win the Big Ten. I think they're going to beat Oregon. I think they'll at least play a close game against Ohio State. In fact, if I had to pick right now, I think I'd pick them to beat them, just because I think they're going to force Ohio State to play a game they don't want to play. Granted, I thought they were going to do that last year. That didn't happen. I love the Penn State Nittany Lions. They're my favorite to win the national championship this year against Texas in the championship. It is going to be a great, great year for the Nittany Lions. It's going to be a great, great season overall. I mean, look at all these teams I just had here. I loved doing this. I mean, I was like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this up so bad, because I was like, man, I don't know a ton about these teams yet. Like, I've been watching podcasts, listening to all this stuff. I really got to know these teams, and it's like, man, they're all those podcasts, what they were saying, it's right. Everyone's right there. All the teams that are low in returning production are the teams that have the most talent and have the best recruiting over the past few years, and the teams that are high are the teams with the returning talent, returning guys on offense and defense, and that's what I think is making these teams so small, so good, is that the teams that would normally have guys go to the NFL, they have the guys coming back. The guys that did have the guys go to the NFL, they're loaded from recruiting anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That's, I think, why everyone is so compact, and I think it's going to make for a great season. I cannot wait for this weekend. I forgot to talk about Texas and Ohio State this year. The way I see this game playing out is exactly how the semifinal went last year, except Ohio State can't run the ball as well. So, if I had to make a pick, I think Texas is able to shut down Jeremiah Smith, make him throw to Carnell Tate, make him throw to Brandon Innes, make him throw to Max Clare. Can the freshman, no, he's not a freshman, he's a redshirt freshman, can he make the right reads in his first ever start? That's a big ask. I don't think that they'll be able to run the ball the way they did against Texas last year. I just don't. I don't think they're as good running the ball. I don't think the offensive line is as good. I don't think the running backs are as good. I think Texas will be able to shut them down a lot easier. The defense, I think Texas will be able to run the ball a lot on Ohio State. Their run defense has been their issue for the past 4 years. Granted, didn't play as much of a part last year, especially in that playoff run, but in Michigan, they could not run the ball. And then they just decided to keep trying to do it anyways. Not my point. I think with Brian Robinson, you'll remember that name from 2 years ago. He was supposed to be really good last year, but then he tore his ACL right before the season started, and he was really big bummer. Like, that is not fun. And it wasn't fun for Texas. It kind of really hurt them that last season. But they have him back. I think he'll be back, ready to go this year. I think he's going to make a really big difference against this Ohio State team. But I'm going to pick Ohio State to win that game. And the only reason is because I know that Lee Corso is going to pick Ohio State. It's his first love. He has to pick Ohio State in his last game. He's got to put on that Buckeye mask, and he's going to. And I don't think that God is going to let Lee Corso be wrong in his last headgear pick. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think the universe will let that happen. I think Ohio State defends home turf, beats Texas, gets off to a 1-0 start, and just has momentum rolling and fueling that team until they have to play Penn State. I cannot wait for that game. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be on YouTube TV. I'm going to have my surround sound on. I'm going to have every other game on that projector right there. You guys can't see it, but it's right there. I'm going to have 4 games up there. I'm going to have my main game on the TV with surround sound. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. I could not be more excited. You guys, I'm sure, cannot be more excited. It's going to be the greatest week 1 we've ever seen. We have 3 top 10 games. We have Notre Dame and Miami. We have Ohio State and we have Texas. We have Clemson and we have LSU. The Death Valley Bowl. This is going to be the greatest season of college football I have ever watched. I was born in 2007, so I didn't get to watch that. This is going to be the greatest college football season you have ever seen. But that is going to do it for episode 1 of 2025 of Scoring from the 50 podcast. I had a ton of fun getting ready for this. I'm going to have a ton of fun, hopefully sticking with this all season. I have a lot better of a plan on that whiteboard up there. My plan is to kind of come back on Tuesday, reviewing the games. I'm going to, I think it's Monday. I think that's my plan on there is Monday. I'm going to record Sunday, edit it Sunday and everything. Feel good about it. Upload it on Monday. Good reaction to how the week 1 went. I cannot wait to experience this with you guys. I have not been able, I think my first year doing this, I went like 3 or 4 weeks in and then I just lost it. I just lost all, this is so much. But again, I have a lot better balance of everything in my life right now, and I think I'm going to be able to power through and get this uploaded for you guys, get this podcast really going. I'm going to have a ton of fun. I hope you guys do too, and I really hope you guys enjoy this weekend of college football. We're finally back. We made it. We're here. Week 1 this weekend. I cannot wait. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys on Monday.